End of the session. You're still talking about a future of your city. And my hope would be that as civic, business, religious, and political leadership, you'd come together and in the times we're living in, try to build on the strengths that you presently have. This is a defining moment. The future is going to be decided. The fact that you're willing to give of your time and your efforts with no return seems to me to be something that has always encouraged me. It's when citizens from the bottom up begin to talk about what type of community they want, that the outcome will be a positive one. So with that, I just cannot tell you how much I appreciate what you've done to this point, and I'm willing to work with you in the future, but if it's a casino-free future. If a casino comes in, I don't have any more time to fly in. Anyway, any questions of any of us? Yeah.
Yes, I said casino. I think why you don't want casino anymore in this?
Well, I think it's again a question of if you put a casino in, you have to ask two basic questions: who wins, who loses, who plays, and who pays. So I look at it, it's a product. If you were going to put a factory in that put carcinogens in the air, they would hire people, they would turn out a product, but if 5% of your population would be, fall over and die, I don't think government would say, well, the vast majority of people can breathe the air okay, it's just that 5% that can't. So there'd be regulations that would say to the factory, we're going to have it so you can't dump these bodies on us. Now, I could conceivably make a case that let's only have a casino with games of skill. Say, where you'd have to use your mind. You have to be like James Bond. You'd have to walk in, and if you didn't have a blonde, you'd have the tuxedo, and you'd be card dealing, and you'd be using mathematical formulas, and there are people that do it. They'd be like those professional players you see on TV when you flip through. And it would just be games of skill, and there would be no slot machine. Now, that's been a standing offer. I have said I said it to Mayor Stevens in Rosemont, who was you have this, Bishop Duker might know. And I said, ask the casino owners, 80% of their money comes from slot machines. So they can't just use games of skill. Why? Because they can't make the money that they want to make. So the point then is, if you were to regulate them in a way that you safeguarded, you protected their exploitation of people, there'd be no market, there'd be no business, there'd be no... So I'm saying at this point that what we're bringing in is a product, that the winners are the people that own it, the losers are the taxpayers that have to absorb the cost. Now let me give you one example, and I've used this before. Let's assume that someone goes in and loses 6 figures in a casino. I have an embezzlement file where I throw stuff in, I travel a lot, and I got up where I must have had 32 states and about 60-some cases of embezzlement, and I added them up one night in front of the fireplace with the dog, and I came up with the average came out to be 6 figures. In other words, it was, I think, $354,000 the average embezzlement. That it was directly related to someone that had access to that money that lost in the casino. The question I have is, does the casino give the $354,000 back? So that's a loss. Now I ask, the person that embezzled is caught, and they have a trial. Does the casino pay for the trial? Who does? Taxpayers, you and I, whether we lost the money, whether we ever damaged it. Person is found guilty and they're put in jail. Does the casino pay for that jail?
No.
Who pays for it? Taxpayer. Well, it doesn't end there. The gambler had a family, embezzled. What happens to that family that now the wage owner is put in prison? Do we shoot them? Do we dispose of them? We take care of them. So we now have a direct, casino takes the money and dumps the victims and the cost upon the public. Now, what kind of business would you want to bring in your community that did that? And if you can define a casino as anything other than that, then you've got to make it something that it isn't. And I think this mayor was talking about a slot barn. I mean, it's worse than even, there's no pretense. This is 500 machines. They're not talking about any game of skill. So a long way of saying it's a losing proposition. Other questions? And certainly Earl can give you the academic stuff, but it really is, does anyone here really believe that you can win at gambling? I mean, mathematically, you ever figured it out? So if you can't win at it, why would you want to stick it in the center of your city? Yeah.
What are the top 2 or 3 reasons that you hear from people who are in favor of putting a casino there? And what would be your response to those arguments?
First one will be, well, people are going to do it, so let's get the benefit here. In other words, they're losing it there. So we should mug them. It's not that it's a better, good thing. But before they go to Michigan City and get mugged, let's mug them here. I mean, that's basically what the politicians will say. And they'll play one state against the other or one city against the other. So that's first. It's always a negative. In other words, they're doing it there, so we should do it here, and we should recapture that money. The difficulty with that is the more available and accessible you make it, the more you increase the people that do it. Common sense says it. People that would not at lunch hour drive to Michigan City to gamble are now living in Fort Wayne that are taking their lunch hour there because they provide a very nice lunch. And by the way, after lunch they go back to work. They're behind, they go back at 5 o'clock because you got to get it. Or they're a little bit ahead and they want to win more. So it becomes that magnet that increases. So that's the first. Second is, only people that are willing do it. So why should you dictate to me my freedom? So the freedom argument is always at the forefront.